Good evening. Thank you so much for coming through what has clearly biblical weather. I did expect to see an ark on the way up between sites, and I think I'm just dry enough not to look embarrassingly bedraggled going from Broomhays to my car and out again. But thank you so much for coming out this evening. It is lovely to see so many of you here, and it is really lovely to welcome you back in many ways. We haven't seen you for a while. It's nice not to just talk to the camera, although I'm having to do a bit of both. And thank you for coming in and talking to us. And as a year group set of parents, we're going to see a little bit more of you this year, as it's quite a big year in terms of the decision making, sharing information with you as well. So we've got more to come. This is kind of a morsel, a taster of things to come later on in the year. In terms of what we're doing this evening, we are going to take you on a little bit of a whistle-stop tour. It is about information. We certainly are using that word in the information evening. So lots of different information about different areas. We are mindful that we're talking to you about a big year. It's a big year for them. It's when choices really emerge, the options process, thinking about GCSEs, thinking about the next steps on their journey and beyond is a really big step, and it's quite daunting for many of them, and for you as well perhaps, and for others they've kind of got a clear plan about what they want to do, and it's our job to do our best to match up to that for them. So what we're going to do this evening really is just talk about some of the aspects, talk about some to do with curriculum. Miss Gordon's going to talk about some of the curriculum things that we're doing and just give you an overview. We've got core subject information, myself and Mr. Powell, and we're talking about the subjects that don't necessarily get the look in. Come on in. Don't get the look in at an options evening. So we're going to talk about the subjects that they've been studying that they will, nearly all of them or most of them, will continue to study through to year 10 and year 11 as well. And we're just giving an overview and a bit of a kind of step forward into GCSE. Miss Egan is going to talk about the year ahead. So a new Director of Achievement, new this year for Haysfield, a very experienced teacher. So she's going to step up to the daunting task of stepping in front of you all to say hello to you all for the first time. And then Mr. Powell's going to talk a bit about the teaching and learning experience. Mr. Morris is going to talk about character, and then I've been pushed off the end, but I will finish off proceedings with you this evening. Whenever we do these events, whenever we're talking to parents, and we've obviously done a lot of information evenings, we've got one more this week, and then we've got the whole set done, so we're very proud of ourselves to make it through. Whenever we talk about anything, we start with our vision, and we just remind. We do this with the students in assemblies. We do this with ourselves. It's about reminding us why we're here, reminding you perhaps of why you chose Haysfield, why you chose Haysfield with your daughter. What already seems quite a long time ago, but not so long. When they see all the new year 7s in, I think they're like, oh, someone's smaller than me, hooray! And they will come backwards to those times. But when we talk about the things that we really want to do as a school, what we're trying to do with them, and actually, those core values that are through everything we do, and seeing this year group grow up, seeing them stepping into year 9 now, seeing them start to be a bit taller, grow. They're starting. Some of the year 7s still look like the uniform's going to wait till about year 10 before it fits. Well, your girls now look like they fit their uniforms now, I think, more or less. But in terms of that strong sense of belonging, about building that community, but actually saying to year 9, step forward now. It's your time to step forward as well. Take on responsibilities. Mr. Morris is going to talk about some of the opportunities available, some of the things that we're trying to do. And we're always looking for them to tell us what they want to do about leading in their community, about making a difference in what we're doing. We always work on the freedom from stereotyping. There's lots of work going on in that, and obviously continue to move that forward. And obviously in terms of their achievements across all the subjects that they do is such an important part of that. And when we talk about limitless aspirations, I think that's probably really important, because always you get moments of doubt. You always get moments when you're not sure you're going to do the right thing, or confidence that you're going to do it. And we talk about that all the time. But actually in terms of those limitless aspirations, thinking about what they want to do in their lives, opening their eyes and looking forward and looking up. And that's what a good part of this year is about. It's about thinking about what do they want to be, what do they want to do, what opportunities do they want their future selves to have. And I think that's really important in terms of really opening their eyes, getting them to really think about where they can go and what they can do. And obviously our job is to give them those wings, but they've got to flap them. I'm not sure that's a brilliant analogy, but it sounded better when I thought of it earlier. And of course, it is about achieving those ambitions. We're unashamedly about helping them achieve ambitions. But all of those values, all of the things that we put into our character development, all those things that we do to help them step up with the self-confidence that they have and the resilience that they've shown over the last 18 months to 2 years, boy, have they shown resilience. It's, just incredible effort. But when we celebrated this summer with this GCSE cohort and celebrated their results, and again, a cohort who'd been through really unprecedented disruption, unprecedented challenges, and what they came out with and the results they came out with. And that's such a good example to this year group who are just thinking about now that 2-year journey that they've got ahead of them after they finish year 9, the 3-year journey taking them through to the end. And what we're all about in terms of all of those things coming together, all of those different character development, all the things that we want them to have, because if you bring all those things together into that melting pot, then they're going to really achieve. And we say that it's not about us kind of focusing on the exams, but it's actually building all the skills, all the confidence, everything they've got to come to that moment. And what we, to reassure you, and we're delighted again that what happens with our results is that the blue line is ours, they go up. And having the results go up, and this is about the basics you can see here. It's an average rolling one which kind of irons out, but just shows you year on year the improvements. But when we talk about English and maths, and when we talk about the fact that we've got 96% of all our grades were grade 4 and above, and that is not just a flash in the pan, that is what we're constantly building and working towards. Grade 4 is all about that door opener into the next steps. And grade 4 is that kind of baseline, getting everyone we can above that grade 4, particularly in English and maths, is a huge door opener. We're very proud of that and proud of what they can do with that attainment. We're incredibly proud of the grade 7s and above that we get, and the numbers of students who achieve 5 or more grade 7s is quite something, half of that year group. The challenges that we want to put in front of this year group and say, go on then, beat it, because they can. And we are always learning, we're always developing, we're always working on improving that. And a statistic that hasn't quite got the same impact because we haven't had the measurement in the playing field, the national playing field, but the statistics there, because Progress 8, if you're not quite sure, what Progress 8 does is essentially measures how much progress they've made in terms of their GCSE outcomes versus their sort of end of year 6, their end of primary school, their kind of start point as they join secondary school, and it compares that to someone who started in a similar place and where did they finish on average. And those numbers, and it's not again about a flash in the pan, it's we're not, the work that the students this year put in to achieve those, and we know that there's the amount of knocking that it took in the media and everything else like that, the work, and those of you who had daughters or sons who've just come through that year 11 know how hard they worked and how incredibly proud of them we are. That isn't about just that they were given those grades, far from it. What they were able to do was really have the opportunity to perform at their best, and they did, they really did. They took that and absolutely ran with it. But when you talk about the fact that we're aiming towards that for this cohort as well, we're aiming towards to be 1 grade above the average. So on average, they perform a grade better than students in most other schools in the country from a similar start point. That, and it doesn't matter their start point, that to me is what we're incredibly proud of. That is showing us that we're going the right direction. We're making the difference for every single individual student, no matter what their start point, and help them really move forward on their journey more than they would have somewhere else. And we're incredibly proud, and that's why we know it's not just about getting them ready for an exam and focusing on an exam. It's about everything that we do at Haysfield and that we continue to try to develop for them. Oh, has it broken already? Okay, that's good. I'll probably shoot off in a minute and I'll get 20 slides on. A-level as well, we always want to celebrate how we've done and share with you how proud we are of these students. And again, I know it's really hard to think about this, thinking about that journey when you might be standing with them, getting their results. Scary thought, sorry, I won't step too far on that. But it's the culmination of all their work. And as we say to every student, if they're holding their envelope and they can say, I did my best, I worked hard, I did my very best, before they open that envelope, then no one can ask any more of them. And that's all we want for them, that they can say that they had the best support that they could get, and that they did their very best, and then they should be incredibly proud of what they achieved. And we've got students, A-level students this year, going all over the country, going to all sorts of different universities, looking at different opportunities. We talk to students about the apprenticeships and the increasingly amazing number of different routes through now. It's not just that traditional, it's not just job versus, university now. There are lots of different ways through. And again, in terms of the value added, it's a bit like the Progress 8 score. That on average, they were getting 0.8 of a grade more than an average similar student nationally. That again shows us that we're moving them forward, giving them the opportunities, opening those doors for them to achieve those grades that they might not have done somewhere else. And that is something that we're incredibly proud of. And again, I won't bore you too much with graphs of A-level results as well, but it is about that journey. And for us, since they started in year 7, we talk about the 7-year journey. We talk about that, getting to GCSEs, moving forward to A-level. But as we were saying, part of this evening is talking about and introducing this idea that this is the first time really when they've had choices, when they start to think about the choices that they want to make moving forward on the next stage. And obviously, some of those choices can be more limited. We've got things that we've got to put in place to support them on that. But it's that first time where they really think about the subjects they want to do. And it's great seeing the year 10s, as they've been in school now a few weeks, they're doing the subjects they want to do. It makes such a difference to their own motivation and enthusiasm and the way that they approach everything they do. I'm going to hand over now, stop talking, to Miss Cording.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to parents and to students as well. I'm Natalie Cording, Deputy Head Teacher Achievement. So I'm responsible for helping your daughters achieve their very best along with my colleagues and the wider team across Hayesfield. What I would like to talk to you about is what to expect this year. And this year is a super exciting year, Year 9. Not only will it be, hopefully, the first year that these students get to experience the full Hayesfield experience, because we are not obviously going to be doing any homeschooling. So we're going to be in for the full year, which is great. But also, sorry?
Nothing. Just had a call.
Fingers crossed. It's also, like Mr. White said, it's a year where you're making choices, where your daughters are making big choices. And in this year, they will be closing some subjects, or being saying goodbye to some subjects at the end of it, but also saying hello and welcome to some new subjects, which they'll get to taste throughout the year. So it is a very, very exciting year. It's exciting, but it's also a lot more challenging. The work gets harder, but fear not, we're there the whole way along, and Miss Egan is going to talk to you about that, about how we support your daughters to rise up to that challenge of this year. In terms of the curriculum, it remains broad and balanced in Year 9, which is a really special feature of Hayesfield, because often other schools will start to narrow at this point, but we don't. We keep the girls studying the wide range of subjects available to them, and as you can see up there, it's the traditional EBAC subjects, as we call them, the English Baccalaureate, which you'll hear more about when you have your options evening on January the 25th. But essentially, they're sort of the core subjects that they take through into Year 10 and 11. And then we've got the option subjects below. They're not the only option subjects available. Your daughters, on Ignite Day, on November the 25th, will start to experience sociology, health and fitness, business, a whole range of subjects that haven't yet been open to them. New for this year, I don't know if you've seen it on their timetable, it's called Design and Enterprise. So that is actually just the old tech subject, so the girls call it tech. It's design and technology is what it was called last year. But this year we've brought in a business strand, so it starts to open up the concept of them doing business in Year 10 and beyond. So it's just a 5th strand within the rotations that they do, so if you see that. So this year is very much that turning point to GCSE. What we do is we start preparing them for GCSE. They get Year 9 exams. A lot of it is focused on sort of the skills that they need for GCSE and beyond. Like I've said before, it is a more challenging year, but that's what the girls need at this point to kind of really drive them forward so that they can get those achievements that Mr. White talked to you about in Year 11 and then Year 13. What we try to do is change them from this, a little bit worried about exams, into what we call an exam ninja, okay? So this is where they're fully prepped in Year 11. where they can, and some girls will be taking exams in year 10s as well if they choose options that have exams in year 10, like health and fitness and business. But this is what we turn them into. Lean, mean examination machines. It's fantastic. They go in there, it's not all about just getting the grades, but they go in there so confident, resilient, ready to perform. And it is fantastic to see. In my day, when I did my exams, there was a lot of nerves around, but there's always a real buzz when our girls go into exams, aren't there? They're sort of like, yeah, we're ready for it. And that's our job, to really start preparing them now. So I did have a look. It was like a ninja. We call them ninjas, but what does that actually mean? And it means one who endures, okay? And that's what this is all about. It's giving them the resilience, giving them that confidence and focus so they can endure the next 2 years and 4 years and beyond so that they can achieve their very best and that they do indeed have limitless aspirations. There she is again. You're going to be seeing a lot of her. I've changed the image, sir. I'm sorry. It used to be a male image that looked more like a ninja, but I was like, no, we're going with this one. Okay, new enroll, new images. That's what I'm going for. Okay.
I think we'll have to get some girls we should do some artwork.
Yes, actually.
Photography with our girls.
I think that would be really good. I think
the image.
we could get, yeah, brilliant. Let's do it in uniform. Year 9's in the room. If you want to offer to do that, just let me know, okay? So just a little bit, some of you will have been through the GCSE process more recently, so over the past sort of 4 or 5 years, and you'll know that it's changed. For those of you that haven't, it's just a brief sort of overview. The GCSEs got harder in sort of 2016, 2017, and what they really did was sort of bring out, remove a lot of coursework from some of the core subjects, some of the EBAC subjects, and put more sort of extended writing and make it more knowledge-based. And that's what we really focus on in year 9, is to kind of get them much more prepared to be able to really tackle their exams in year 10 and 11. You will hear more about this throughout the year, okay? But just for those of you that don't know, I'm sure you do, with the new numbering system, your grade 4 is the old C, the standard pass we call it, and then grade 5 is your strong pass, okay? So that's sort of what it means. But I'm sure, because you've all had flight paths for a while, that explain sort of what the numbering system is, but just in case some of you weren't so sure. This year, I'm super excited to be part of the options process. I'm normally part of it working with Mr. Powell last year, but this year I'm sort of running it. And this is, I think it's an amazing experience. This is where the girls get to choose what it is that they take forward. And this is where it really is limitless aspirations, okay? What do you want, what do they want to be? What do they want to do? And those are the questions they need to really start thinking about now. It's about making informed choices to support future aspirations. So as they're going through the year, they need to be thinking, okay, what is it that I want to do? What sort of subjects do I like? What sort of subjects don't I like? What are my strengths? What things sort of am I going to be able to be the very best person I can be? And we really help with that, but as parents, we need you talking to them at home about it as well. So they need to start asking some questions, okay? So what careers are you interested in? Is your daughter interested in? What courses are there available at sixth form that might support that choice of career? What route is she going to take? Sir's already said there's so many more routes now than when we were at school. And university, apprenticeships, jobs. You'll hear lots more about it from our careers leader, Mrs. Johnston, on January the 25th, which will help you kind of inform the choice that you take. What skills and knowledge will help me in my future? What do I enjoy? I always think that's really important, to do subjects that you enjoy as well, because that's what you're going to do best at, okay? And don't be ashamed of saying that I've chosen health and fitness because I really enjoy fitness and I want to do that. That's absolutely fine. So it's about starting those conversations with them now. They are going to have their Ignite Day on November the 25th, which, like I said, part of that is a session with Career Pilot where they kind of investigate different careers, and then they get to experience subjects at sort of what they can choose at GCSE. So that's existing ones that they've been doing, but also new ones. as I've sort of alluded to, their taster sessions, I said that the 25th, they're going to have assemblies before and after Christmas, so they will be fully informed. You'll be fully informed when you come to the options evening on the 25th of January, and there's support throughout. You'll be talking with us, with their subject teachers, with Miss Egan as their DOA, their Director of Achievement, and if you have any questions about that at all, then please just speak to any one of us. And I haven't put the date on there yet because we haven't finalised it, but hand-in date for your choice of options will be at a point in March. If you want more information just in terms of the curriculum and the options process, you can have a look at what we call the curriculum handbook. Okay, that's basically showcasing the options for last year, but just so that you can get your head around it, what's out there, what's likely to be available. We don't really change it too much, but you can start looking ahead and helping your daughter plan. Key dates, but they're all in your booklet, okay? So you have got, like I said, 25th of November, 25th of January, we've made it easy, making them on the 25th. 8th of February is the Year 9 Parents' Evening, and at that point, you still haven't selected all your options, so it's an opportunity to talk with teachers and try and help inform that final decision. And 2nd of May, they've got their Year 9 exams. Miss Egan's going to sort of talk about sort of preparing for those and how you can support them with that. And we've got formal reports in terms 3 and term 6, but all these dates are in there for you to see.
Hello everyone, lovely to see you all. English in Year 9. One of the questions that was asked of me earlier is, will the girls be doing their literature at the end of Year 10? We have no plans to do that this year. I just want to make that clear from the start. Originally, that was a great curriculum model for us because it gave the girls an early start to their GCSEs. But obviously, with some of the disruption of COVID, we're not going to be moving that model forward for this year group. At least we certainly have no plans at the moment to do that, no. English in Year 9. I'm an English teacher. I think it is such an exciting year. They get to study new books, they get to study new texts, and they are harder. The work does get harder at this point. And they do read some very interesting texts. Can I just ask a question here? Hands up if you're concerned that your daughter isn't reading enough. Okay, that's pretty much universal. Hands up if you're concerned your daughter's reading too much. Reading is key. We're going to look at some of the GCSE texts as we move forward. We look at the skills of reading, the skills of writing. As I said, the work gets harder. The expectation on your daughter will get harder as well. But reading is key. If your daughter is a reader, she will do better in her English GCSE, but she will also do better in all of her GCSEs. 20 minutes, half an hour a day can make a real difference to vocabulary, to confidence, to spelling, of course, and it's really important that we support that as well. And one of the things I would say is make sure that you're reading with your daughter as well. The texts that we're suggesting now get more mature, they get harder, and perhaps you will enjoy some of those texts as well. Now, certainly within 19th century literature, one of the texts that your daughter will have to study is either going to be Jekyll and Hyde or Frankenstein, or Pride and Prejudice, and these texts can be a little bit more difficult to access. So one of the things we do say is it's probably a good idea to get a start on some of those texts now and read broadly around those texts now. There are some key texts that likely all the girls will be reading. That's Romeo and Juliet. Hands up if you like Romeo and Juliet. It's okay. It's not my favourite. It's not my favourite. The Love and Relationships poetry, all your girls will be studying that as well. And an Inspector Calls. Could you put your hand up if you know the ending of an Inspector Calls? You see, yeah. Don't give it away. It's a really, really good ending. If you don't, can I strongly suggest you read it with your daughter? These are really interesting texts, and it's really, really important that you go on that journey with them as well. These are the three texts I can almost guarantee she will be studying. And if for some reason they don't, we do occasionally make some curricular decisions not to. They are well worth studying anyway. So if you want to get ahead of the game, these are the three texts to read. Reading in general, though, is very important. They have to look at non-fiction as well. They have to read non-fiction and they have to create non-fiction. I always head the girls towards the Observer, the Sunday Times, the Sunday Telegraph, and if you go online, there's some really fantastic journalism on there. There's some really great articles about anything they would enjoy, whether it's music or culture or travel. And again, it's really important that the girls start early on that one and they start reading those non-fiction texts as much as anything else. Right, fantastic. That's English. I'm now going to hand it to Mr. White for maths.
With maths, what we're talking about again is actually they have a set endpoint already set up, that actually the maths curriculum is designed to finish by Christmas in year 11, and actually all the work that's gone in from year 7 right through to year 11 on all of our subjects is all about scaffolding it, working out what fits best, what's next on the journey. So there is a whole kind of method behind every single topic, every single subject that they're covering as they go through from year 7 to year 11. And year 9 is very much that gateway as they move up and take the topics and skills that they've used in year 7 and 8 and really work on those and develop those in year 9, really thinking forwards now into GCSEs. What's key for us, and I think there's a kind of old-fashioned view about the difference between foundation and higher, and foundation becomes like this dirty word, or like, oh, I'm not doing foundation, they can't do foundation. But I mean, our maths team are experts about ensuring they support students to get the right tiers and set up. And there's a graphic that we might share with you later on as you move through, but the new maths GCSE is quite different, and a lot of the GCSEs, as Ms Cording referred to, over the last 4 or 5 years, the changes has brought content down from A-level. So when you're talking about whether you should do higher or foundation, the higher papers, the higher tiers, have got a lot more depth in terms of A-level style questions that might have been previously in there, and therefore actually present quite a challenge for a student that might be on that borderline between. And it's absolutely about all the assessments, all the work and support to help make sure that we put that student in for the right paper that gives them that access and ability to achieve the very best that they can achieve. But the good thing to say is that whilst they are working on different aspects of those as they go through, no decisions are made until we've got a full picture. And that picture really comes when they finish the course, when they've done the mocks exams in year 11. So there's no pigeonholing, there's no like, oh, they've got to stay on that pathway. There's always opportunities. It's about giving them the best they can be to perform, and then we make those decisions at the right time. In science, again, now we will be talking to you more about this. We're thinking of ways of trying not to make the options evening last about 24 hours, because in terms of providing, you want to get out there and see subject teachers and they'll be having displays in their rooms. But what we really want to make sure of is that you understand the differences and the different choices you're making. So we're probably going to be putting some videos together from the different subject areas as well that allow you to make some informed decisions before the evening, and then you can ask better questions once you're here, because there's a lot, again, of overwhelming information sometimes. But the science curriculum is very much like maths. It's all about moving forwards. What they start to do in year 9 is they start to talk more about biology, chemistry, and physics. And that is, that's a big difference in terms of seeing how that works. So at GCSE, there's a choice. The pathway at the end of year 9 into year 10 does split, because they can choose to go and do the separate sciences. So they will study 3 individual GCSE sciences: GCSE biology, GCSE chemistry, GCSE physics, 3 completely different grades. Now, obviously, there's a content level that's more, and there's not necessarily a bigger time. The time allowed on the curriculum to ensure that we have that broad and balanced curriculum and other subjects doesn't increase. So you can see that there's a bit of a balance there between, right, I've got to do more content in the same amount of time, versus what confusingly is called the trilogy science course, but it's double science course. I didn't make it up, honestly. You can't make this stuff up. So we call the word combined science is the key bit there, but that's worth 2 GCSEs. They still study biology, chemistry, and physics, but they study a bit less content of each compared to the separates. And they come out with a double grade, a 4-5, 5-5, which is a combination of their scores across the 3 areas. So don't worry, we'll explain this again as we go forward. But in terms of a decision, it's a different type of decision, and it will be an informed decision, and the science team will have that. And things like parents' evening is a big conversation with the science teachers about that, because they'll very much give you guided choice, where they'll help you and support you in that. And obviously, if there's very strong views either way, we absolutely take those into account. So that's just to prepare you. That doesn't necessarily form part of the options evening, because that's about the choices there. But with science, there is a choice to make at the end of year 9, and we'll be guiding and supporting you and your daughters in making that decision. Okay? Hopefully that's okay. I haven't got too many blank faces there. Right, I'm going to hand back. So
we're jumping up and
I'm
down.
just like the maths and science geek.
And I'm the humanities and languages. Hands up if you did French at school. Spanish? Ooh, not many Spanish. German? Anything weird? Anybody do any weird ones? What did you do? Latin. Oh, that's not weird. We do Latin.
The definition of weird.
Chinese, fantastic, very good. Languages is very popular here. The vast majority of our girls do go on to take a language at GCSE. Your daughter might now be studying French, she might be studying French and Spanish, and they don't need to make that decision now. Some of the girls will decide to take French forward, some of the girls will decide to take Spanish forward. Some of our girls decide to take both of them forward, in fact. Which we fully support them in. Some of our girls do Latin at GCSE as well. In fact, a large number of girls this year, Miss Cording, actually are taking Latin this year. It's probably been our largest cohort of students taking Latin as well, and we're very proud of that. And it's a very, very capable group as well. So languages is very popular here, and your daughter will be very much encouraged, supported, guided to think about the right course for her going into GCSE. Right now, really the thing to think about is the core skills of the listening, the reading and the translation. Our girls, it won't surprise you to hear, are very good at talking. And they're very good at talking in French, and they're very good at talking in Spanish as well. And they do particularly well on that component of the GCSE. It is, again, having a higher and a foundation element, just as we do with maths. And again, those decisions will be made as they go through the course about what the best allocation of higher or foundation is. At the moment, really what I want you to think about is what we can do to support them. Watching films in Spanish and French, getting books in Spanish and French. Having conversations with your daughter in Spanish or French, really supporting that. It is, again, as I'm going to talk about when we get to the teaching and learning element, it is that drip feed. It is starting now and building that skills, building that confidence, and again, we look to parents to help support us with that. But as I said, it is a very popular course, and the vast majority of our girls are expected to and do take a language on to GCSE. And these are the skills and these are the themes that we will be looking at. Are they wildly different to the ones you did for GCSE?
We never sent an email. I didn't know what that was then.
It's all holidays and travel and how to order it. Can anybody order a cup of coffee in French? I assume you can. Yeah, that's very simple. Right, geography and history. Again, all of our girls will take either geography or history. Could you put your hands up if you took geography? Put hands up if you took history. Put your hands up if you took both. Oh, we couldn't at my school. It was very frustrating. Put your hands up if you weren't allowed to. Yeah, it was really annoying, wasn't it? Absolutely. Our girls can do geography and history. And all of our girls do. They will make a choice about whether... Geography is very popular, history is very popular. They're probably about equally split, I would have thought. And it's really important now that your daughter, as Miss Cording was saying, thinks about the course that's going to be the best for her to take forward as well. They are starting to look at some of the GCSE content within that, of course, but also they're looking at those skills from Key Stage 3 that they're taking forward as well. Really, it's about making sure that they're building up, ready for those GCSEs, but it's also ensuring that they're enjoying the courses and they're engaging with those courses as well. And both of them are very exciting, and they're a core part of our curriculum offer at Key Stage 4. Oh, the year ahead. Right, fantastic. I'm now going to hand you over to our Director of Achievement for Year 9, Miss Egan.
Good evening, everyone. It's great to see you all this evening, and thank you for braving the weather. As you know, I'm new to the school this year. I've spent the last few years working in a very similar all-girls comprehensive school, and I can say hand on heart, I truly believe they are the very best environments for your daughters to really thrive in for secondary school. I'm still getting to know all the girls, but I'm really pleased that it's year 9 where I've been able to join them on that secondary school journey. I say that because year 9 is such an exciting year, with so many new opportunities as they're continuing to build on their knowledge from year 7 and year 8, while starting to get that first taste of Key Stage 4, and as Miss Cording said earlier, they're starting to make those first decisions about their educations when they come to choosing their options. Oh, it is working. I was incredibly conscious coming into this role that for our girls in year 9, they're yet to have a full normal year of secondary school. I don't want to jinx it. I'm cautiously optimistic is how I'm going to phrase it, about the year ahead. But considering all the challenges that they face through year 7 and year 8, I think that makes their successes all the more impressive. They've had a fantastic return to school this year. They're engaged, they're enthusiastic, they're getting involved in all the parts of school life. We've had incredible sign-ups for LEAP this year, and that's been fantastic to see. I think with the challenges that they face in year 7 and 8 and remote learning, actually in many ways, they had to develop some of these skills even sooner than they would have done, because they've had to be more resilient, they've had to be more independent, they've had to really take responsibility for the work they've done at home. And I really want to build on that this year and cement these things as solid habits that will really help see them through the rest of Year 9 into Key Stage 4 and beyond. I'm going to be talking about habits with Year 9 quite a bit over the course of the year. I quite like this quotation when it comes to talking to students about this. Successful people are simply those with successful habits. I like that because I think sometimes students look at the people they look up to, they see the successes and they think, wow, that's incredible, that's almost superhuman, those amazing results or that fantastic competition. And they don't really fully reflect on the fact that success doesn't happen accidentally. It's the result of doing the right thing, the things again and again that you need to do to move you more closely towards your goals. And in that respect, I think that talking about habits with students can be really quite empowering, because if we can learn to reflect on the habits that we have, the good and the bad ones, then we can actually start to choose them, and we can start deliberately incorporating the actions that are going to move us further towards our goals, and we can start to try and shed anything that perhaps hasn't served us so well in the past or might take us further away. For me, successful habits in school would be completing homework and classwork to the best of their ability. I do just want to pause on that word best, because one thing I have encountered with students in the past is you say, do your best, and the word best goes in and somehow they hear perfect. And we're not looking for perfection. Best by definition is the most that you can do. And if you are truly doing your best, there is no more that anyone can ever ask of you. If you're doing your best, you will be making progress, and we want progress. We're not so worried about perfection. Attending all lessons and catch up if not there, acting on teacher feedback, knowing to ask teachers for help if needed, and knowing that there's no shame in needing to ask for help and there's no shame in getting anything wrong. They're both part of the learning process, and they're really useful for us. Making the most of our LEAP sessions and preparing notes and revision materials. I'm going to have a big push with Year 9 this year on getting in the habit of preparing revision materials as we go, and not just leaving them until a couple of weeks before the end of year exams, but actually building up a bank of resources to make that more manageable and to build up a healthier approach to that. And of course, they're not going to be alone in doing this. They've got lots of support from me and from us as a school more broadly. We're here to provide engaging and challenging lessons, to set meaningful homework that reinforces learning. Homework is never just an add-on here, it's always purposeful, it's always designed to drive that learning forwards. We're here to offer extra support when it's needed, be that through LEAP or intervention or some of the holiday sessions that we run. And of course, we're here to motivate and encourage your students and to remind them to keep going even when it's hard. And this is all underpinned by unwavering, unapologetically high expectations, which are, of course, rooted in our school values. I think in most things in life, you get out of something what you put into it. The more energy and dedication and commitment you bring to something, not only the more successful you'll be in it, but the more fulfilling and rewarding you'll find it. And school is no exception to that. In fact, I think it's the perfect example of that. I haven't been here that long, but I've been here long enough to know that students get a very good deal in this school. They really do. They've got amazing teachers, opportunities, facilities, but that needs to work both ways. So we need them to participate, to engage, we need them to be on board with our routines that we have here, and in short, we need them to do their best. And if they're doing those things, they will definitely make progress and get to where they want to go. This is very much a team effort this year between us as a school and you at home and your daughters. And there are a few things I'd like to go through that would be really useful to have you on board with supporting. The first one is attendance. I'm guessing you probably saw this one coming because it's so clear that the more students are in school, the better they do. I actually think it's more useful to think of the issues around attendance not so much in terms of days missed, but lessons missed. Because if you have 10 days off over the course of a year, that means you've missed 50 lessons. That's 50 hours of learning, and it's also 50 hours of catching up, potentially, that you'd need to do once you're back in school. That would still leave you with 95% attendance overall, which doesn't sound too bad. But when you think 50 lessons, actually, you realise that every day counts so much. And then, of course, the more time a student has off, the more lessons they miss. And if we start looking at what 70% or 60% attendance looks like, missing hundreds of lessons, you can start to see how students would fall behind in that situation, and catching up would be incredibly challenging for them. Another big thing that's been on my mind lately is screen time. Now, I'm sure I'm not alone in finding that my own screen time increased dramatically during the lockdown periods. And I'm not here to say technology is dreadful and screens are dreadful. They've been amazing, really, during lockdown. They enabled us to keep teaching students. They enabled people to work from home. They enabled us to stay in contact with friends and family when we couldn't see them in person. But I do think this is a place where possibly some bad habits have been developing that we really need to nip in the bud now. Teens spend an average of 7 hours a day consuming screen media, and that's totaled up. 10 minutes here, 20 minutes there, they count in this. 45% of them say they check their device after they've gone to bed when they know they shouldn't be on it, and they should be resting and getting sleep. Surveys suggest over 90% of teens have social media accounts, and there is a proven impact in studies on this, on how students do in school. And it's not really difficult to see why. I actually was speaking to a student earlier today, not a Year 9 student, but she was telling me that she'd been up until about 2:30 in the morning scrolling on TikTok. And she explained to me that she just couldn't really make herself stop. She wasn't really enjoying it. She just couldn't stop watching it. And then she managed to sort of tear herself away because she knew she had to be up for school. But then she couldn't sleep properly. She couldn't shut her mind off and get some rest. So it's really no wonder that she's been walking around school today feeling exhausted and feeling like she hasn't quite been following her lessons to the level that she'd like to be. And I can't really blame her for this, because what we have to remember, and what I have to be very aware of, and what we need to make students aware of, is that these apps are really intelligently designed to be addictive. Their creators want you to keep watching because then effectively they get more money. And there's not really anything we can do about that, but we can be aware of it, and we can educate students about it, and we can try and have some strategies in place to deal with it. And I really want to focus on dealing with it now rather than in Year 10 or Year 11. I'll be speaking to the girls much more about this over the course of the year, because I do really believe it's incredibly important for their well-being as well as their educations. But a couple of practical things that might be useful for now could be having a blanket rule in the household that all devices get turned off at this time, or it could be as simple as leaving a phone on charge not in the room that you sleep in, just so that temptation to check it after going to bed is, if not removed, made harder to do. There are lots of other habits that would be great to be developing at home as well as at school. Keeping active, as I mentioned, making revision resources from Year 9 onwards and not leaving them until later on in the year. Practice working in silence. Now, this is an interesting one because already I've had several Year 9 girls tell me, "Miss, I can't work in silence." And what I've told them is, well, you can and you have to. I totally get that sometimes, I totally get that people like listening to music when they work. I quite like having music on in the background sometimes when I work. But the issue comes when they have this attitude that, oh, I have to have music on, because their end of Year 9 exams will be done in a hall in silence, their GCSE exams, A-levels will most certainly be done in a hall in silence. And we need them to be in the habit of doing that, and we need them to know that they can do it and not completely panic when faced with a silent room. So if you would like the challenge, perhaps asking them to do a particular homework task in silence might be something that could be useful. Creating a revision timetable for the first time in Year 9 would be great practice as well for Years 10 and Year 11. Having a calm environment to do work in at home. Healthy sleeping routines, they need 8 to 10 hours a night. This is, of course, something that the screen time issue does impact, but I think having a consistent bedtime is really useful. Our bodies like routines, and it's great if we can be aware of that and really implement that. Having healthy diets, drinking lots of water, and also knowing that they can seek support and to get used to seeking support. It's totally okay to ask questions. It's okay to ask for help. And then finally, keep perspective. I mentioned earlier that we want their best. We're not bothered about perfection. None of us are perfect. And if they were perfect already now, then why would they need to be in school? We know they've got learning to do. We know they've got ways that they're going to continue to grow. And that's what, for me, is really exciting. Another thing that I would just like to mention on that topic is that students can put a lot of pressure on themselves sometimes. Year 9 is not year 11. They've got nearly 3 years of learning to do. They don't need to know everything now. We don't expect them to know everything now that they will know by the end of their journey here with us. And my idea is that by developing these habits now, it will make everything easier by the time we get to year 11. My logic is that if they can deliberately, consciously choose to develop these habits and have support in developing them, they'll happen automatically by the time they're in year 11. And then everything will be much more straightforward. I hope I've managed to give you a bit of an overview about what some of my priorities are going to be this year. If you do have any questions about anything I've mentioned, don't hesitate to get in contact with me. There's a horrendously large picture of my face on the screen. And we also have Mrs. Ross, who is here. You're at the back, Mrs. Ross. Mrs. Ross is our pastoral manager who knows the girls very well. She's been with them since year 8, and she's also very happy to help with any support she can offer. And I think it's now Mr. Powell.
Right, hello everyone. I often say I've got the best job in education. I think, Miss Egan, you may have the best job in education at the moment because this is a very, very lovely year group. I say I've got the best job in education because I'm head of teaching and learning, Duncan Powell, deputy head teacher, one of the deputy head teachers here at a school where the girls really want to learn, and they do really want to learn, and the teachers really want to teach them. It's a lovely environment, and I think that talks to the success that Mr. White spoke about at the beginning, that we've got teachers who actively, deliberately want your daughters to do so well and are passionate about that, and we've got girls who are passionately taking control of their education as well. And it is that journey, the beginning of year 9 all the way through to year 11. I really liked what Miss Egan said when she said year 9 is not year 10, it's not year 11, it's a journey, and it's the beginning of the journey. It's when they're going to dip into some of those new subjects, but it's also when they need to start thinking about exactly that, developing those good habits. And what I'd like to talk to you about is the habits that I need to see your daughter have in the classroom. Well, we know what we're going to do. We're going to engage minds. We are going to assess your daughter. We are going to track their progress. We're going to give them feedback. There will be assessments every term for most subjects. And we expect your daughters to take those seriously. And we expect them to listen to the feedback, listen to the success criteria we give on that so that they can continue to move forward. That's our obligation to them. But what do we need to see of the girls? Well, we need to see them ready and respectful. And I'm going to go through the HG values here. I almost think I ought to test you, actually. Do you feel like being tested? Yeah, okay. Ready and respectful. Organisation. Certainly within the classroom, please don't let your daughter be one of those girls who turns up and goes, I thought it was week B, sorry sir, I've bought my geography book, my English book. It's very frustrating, and it's a very, very simple thing to do. They don't have the calculator they need for the maths lesson, and worst of all, they don't have the calculator they need for their maths exam as well. They're getting much better at that, aren't they? Much better at that. We threaten that we won't hand out one, and so we said, well, you won't have one in the exam. But that being organised, for me, that's perhaps the most important part of being a successful student here at Hazelwood. Organisation, it's 90% of what you're doing. The right books, the right equipment at the right time, and being at your lessons on time as well. And the moral courage, homework. Homework will increase, of course it will increase, and it will increase more particularly for the EBAC subjects as well that Miss Cording was talking about earlier. It's really important that you monitor what your daughter's doing. I'm sure we trust them, but you've got the app and you can see exactly what she's doing. And it's really important that you ask the questions of that and you provide them with a space to do that as well. It's awful for us and for the girls when they turn up and they go, oh, sorry, sir, I haven't done the homework. Because very often that means they can't move on to the next stage of the lesson as well. And it's very uncomfortable for them because they feel like they've fallen behind as well. One of the messages to the girls, and parents, you need to hear this as well, is if you've got a problem with the homework, if you're not sure what to do, then talk to the teacher beforehand. Don't go into the lesson going, well, I know the homework's due today, but I didn't understand it. It's that famous word, isn't it? That famous phrase. Sorry, sir, I didn't understand it, therefore I didn't do it. Please encourage your daughters and girls, please go and find your teacher beforehand. And we call that moral courage because it's doing the right thing, making that decision not to go on TikTok till 4 o'clock in the morning. Is it TikTok they're on?
You're so out of date.
You haven't got a clue, have you? You have no idea what your daughters are doing, have you at all? No. But actually making that decision, and I think Miss Egan spoke really well about sometimes that decision's a hard one, that it's thrust upon you and that it's very, very addictive, and we need to be the support for that as well. Self-confidence, that's what we need to see in the classroom as well. Your daughters, as Mr. White said earlier on, this is the time for them to step up, but it's the time for them to step up not just in the leadership roles, but in the classroom as well. If they don't understand something, I need them to put their hand up, so I don't get it, and that is a confidence. Some of the girls will hide away. I don't want to say something, I feel I'll look silly, I don't know what that word means, but I don't want to say something. That doesn't do us any good, it doesn't do them any good. I always say to the girls, I used to put my hand up all the time and say, sir, I don't get it, I'm sure I was a really annoying child. I wasn't, I was amazing. But I never left a lesson without knowing what I needed to know, and that's what we need, the girls, the self-confidence, to put themselves forward, to put their hands up, to say they don't understand. Resilience, we've spoken about that already tonight. The work's going to get harder, and it starts in year 9, and it's about taking those challenges on. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute, but Hazelfield girls thrive under challenge. We've seen them do it again and again and again, and particularly for those limitless aspirations. In their lessons, I need them not to go, that's good enough. I need them not to coast. I need them to think about what the best work they can produce for us is. I need them to prepare for the assessments and show us exactly what they can do in those assessments, to take them seriously and to take their education seriously, because if they've got those aspirations, that will move them forward to the next stage in their education. That will move them forward to the next stage in their life. This is just about good enough, and I say that to the girls. Show me how you can improve me. Show me how you can make that better. And put your hand up now. Is your daughter one of those girls who likes everything to be really, really neat and then doesn't like to change it afterwards because it just looks nice? I don't want to change it because it looks pretty. Have we got any of those? Yeah, a few of those. I know them. It's very annoying. Learning's going to be hard. This is Carol Dweck. She's an educational theorist. She expounds the idea of growth mindset, and growth mindset is very clearly about effort equals outcomes. If you work, then the outcomes will come for that, and the work is going to get harder. Let's be honest about that. The GCSEs are hard. They wouldn't give them out if they weren't hard. There wouldn't be a challenge in it if they weren't hard. But it's about overcoming those obstacles. It's about having that resilience, and we will put the support in class in place. And your daughter needs to take ownership for her education to do that. She needs to take those challenges face on. It will be harder. There may be tears. Things will get a little bit more frustrating and difficult, but we are there to support them with that. And the power of yeah, and this is very, very much what we say. Put your hand up, please, if you've told your daughter that it's okay to be rubbish at maths. You were rubbish at maths too. Well done, thank you. It's the moral courage to be honest there. Thank you very much indeed. So you can have a house point for that. Well done.
She can't though. That's wrong. It's not to.
What?
She shouldn't be saying that.
No, but she's shown moral courage. The power of yes is really, really important. It's the girls will say, I can't do this. It's a very dangerous word. It's a very dangerous phrase. We're very clear that you can't do it yet. You're in year 9, and Miss Egan said your exams are 3 years away, 2 years and 9 months away. It's fine. Plenty of time. But it's really important that they have that message. They have plenty of time, and it is a journey, as I said at the beginning, and we are there to support them through that. But complacency, I worry about complacency as well. If you say, no, mum, it's fine, I've got it, it's fine, don't worry, it's easy, I've got this, I know this, I worry about that as well. Sometimes I like them to worry a little bit more about something, okay? Complacency is a killer as well. Right. Learning shouldn't like this. We don't want learning to look like this at Hazelfield. Sometimes it does. Sometimes the lessons aren't the most exciting things in the world. I'm a firm believer in the idea that sometimes the dullest lessons are the most effective, and sometimes the all singing, all dancing ones, the students aren't necessarily always learning something. We talk about the struggle zone, putting the students in the struggle zone so that they are always moving, learning forward. But the classroom, the learning should not look like this. It should look a little bit more like this. It should be about some core rules. Miss Egan spoke about good habits. For me, in terms of teaching and learning, they're pretty easy. Get yourself organised. Involve yourself in your learning. To learn is a verb. You need to be in the driver's seat of that. And it's really important your daughter puts her hands up. She has the confidence to take control of that. Don't settle. Don't settle. Keep trying and enjoy it. Learning should be fun. Learning is fun. We are human beings, we want to learn, and please support us in that one, that learning is a great experience here, and the outcomes of that are just a bonus on top of that. Right. Finally, just going to talk you through, we will talk to you again and again and again about some of our revision resources. We're not talking about revision now, of course we're not, but it's a really good idea that you start knowing where these sites are. We have license for, and some of these are very expensive, Miss Cording, aren't they? We have license for a number of revision and support resources. GCSE Port is very expensive. Seneca is one we've had for about 3 years, the science department. absolutely love Seneca, a lot of the work that they set on Seneca. So you are going to need to start learning these. These are brilliant resources, not like in our day where we had a book and we made notes. There are an awful lot of online tools for that as well. And if you want to find this, our GCSE academic support button, if you go to on the website, everything is on there. All the revision resources, all the PLCs, which are the personal learning checklists, and advice and support for parents as well. We even have a few diets on there, don't we? We even have a few recipes for the girls.
Not just for the parents.
Just for the students. We talked about getting enough sleep. It was about eating correctly as well. And really, again, my message to you, we talked about the journey, we talked about good habits. It's not going to be easy the next 3 years, of course it's not, but it is going to be awesome. Remember that picture at the beginning, those faces, those smiling faces when they were holding those results. That's not luck. That's not luck. That's hard work, that's commitment, and most of all, that's organisation. Right, thank you very much.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks ever so much for joining us. I think I'm the 5th person to stand up in front of you this evening and say I've got the best job at Haysfield. So there we go. We've all bought the ticket and we're all here. My job is all-encompassing. It covers a variety of different areas, and you may be saying, because essentially everybody that stood up before you already has mentioned probably what I'm going to mention, but it's because it's so important to the staff and the students and the parents of the children that go to Haysfield, that we ensure that it's a message that we say frequently. We keep it simple, we say it often, and ultimately then we try and live those values that we hold so dear. I'm going to try and give you some personal stories through the course of my relatively short talk. There are 3 young ladies within this room tonight that have come to me in my 4 weeks at this school who have already asked for additional opportunities to lead, or to engage, or to offer support to others. I've seen each one of them as they've come in tonight, and hopefully I've acknowledged them. And they didn't know that I was going to mention this, but there are 3 young ladies in here, one of whom has said, I want to set up a club at lunchtime to do some volleyball. How do I go about that? Giving opportunities to others. A year 9 student. We've already established the fact that they've not had a natural progression through the school. And one child has felt so comfortable and established within the environment that said, this is what I want to do and this is what I want to provide. That's what Haysfield does. Another one has said, I want to encourage people to get involved in my Taekwondo and martial arts club at the weekend, and I want to be able to flyer and leaflet, and I want to be able to do that. Again, the confidence to be able to put themselves out there and put themselves forward. And another one has spoke in front of a large audience on Saturday in a Youth Speaks Parliament in North Devon. These are 14-year-old girls who are making conscious choices to get involved and do something positive and productive for their environment. It doesn't just come from us, it comes from you as well. It comes from you providing those opportunities, whether it's driving them to these clubs, and whether it's driving them to North Devon. But realistically, it's very much a team effort. I think I might have just switched that off. No? There we go. Wow, that was nervous. Okay. We know all about the character journey. Your daughters are midway through year 7 to 11. They've had some bumps in the road as they've started from year 7, and it's not been plain sailing. But as we've said, because the values are explicit, we say them often, we keep it simple. Hopefully, you passed the test when Mr. Powell asked you to regurgitate them. Hopefully, you're reiterating those at home too. The journey is important. The struggle zone or the learning pit. With regards to LEAP and with regards to leadership opportunities, they're in a safe environment where if things go wrong, it doesn't really matter. I said I'd talk to you about personal experiences, and as we go through here, just want to get to their character. There are the 5 values, and we aim to get the students and the members of staff to recognise when those values are being explicitly lived. So what we do then is they sign those off in their planners, and if they can get 8 indicators for each of the values, 40 occasions through the course of the year where they're caught doing the right thing, or they identify themselves that they're doing the right thing, then they get the character award. At the end of school today, I was fortunate enough to sit with our head student, Bella. She's applying for medicine and she's just completing her UCAS statement. And she came to me yesterday and she handed me her personal statement and said, can you go through this? This young lady is the head student of a school of 1,500 girls. She is, I forget her role within the CCF, but she's lead cadet within the CCF. She organises all of 6SLT, our sixth form senior leadership team. I was going to say she's no bigger than me, but she really is no bigger than me. But she's powerful. She's emboldened. She's passionate. And she regularly, this morning, she was part of an assembly to all of Year 10, and she'll be leading assembly tomorrow for all of Year 9, for some of the girls that are in here. And she'll be talking to them about her journey, how she stood in Year 7 with a blazer that was 3 sizes too big for her, and eventually she grew in character and size and stature to do that. And what we want to do is provide those opportunities to allow that to happen. I read through her statement and it was filled with such humility. I said, things in here are implicit, they're not explicit. You're not selling yourself to the extent that you possibly could. Because she doesn't realise what she's achieving, because the opportunities are so great. She just sees it as a matter of course. And having taught at 6 other schools, I can assure you that the opportunities that your daughter have here, or has here, are unrivaled. There's 500 leadership opportunities at school. Those are some of the ones that are available in every tutor group, but we're trying to change the conversation. And we'll be discussing this in Year 9 Assembly tomorrow, because we'll be talking about the fact that the PSHE programme and the tutor programme, we want to make it more nimble. We want to be able to navigate so that we're dealing with issues that are realistically affecting the lives of your daughters. And we're going to encourage them and embolden them to be part of that. I am 46. I don't know what TikTok is, and long may that be the case. But the sixth formers do, and therefore engaging them in terms of online safety, getting them to develop the resources, getting them to deliver realistic, real-time advice is going to be far more useful than me standing up in front of them. We talk about causes. We're looking at Black Lives Matter. I went through Bradford-on-Avon on Sunday, and there was an Extinction Rebellion gathering there. These are causes that your daughters feel passionately about. We have Meat-Free Mondays. That's a direct result of our climate reps and our eco reps talking about how we can have an impact on a global scale, starting with Haysfield. But that comes down to them getting involved. We want to recognise them getting it right. We want to catch them doing the right thing, and we want to give them hot chocolate. We want to give them badges. We want to make phone calls on a Friday and tell you how well they're doing. I want to send emails to parents on a Monday saying I've watched a video of their daughter doing something so amazing that she deserves an enormous amount of recognition. We're all really proud to work here. It's really clear. We're really fortunate because we genuinely think we can have an impact on your daughters' lives and their horizons and how they see themselves. So let's celebrate their achievements together. Let's give them the opportunity to grow, fill those blazers, and then subsequently move forward, knowing that they've achieved great things. Finally, from me, we can't do it on our own. We need your support. Please use my email address at the bottom. We're trying to create a real friend society within the school. We've got a careers day as part of Ignite, and I know that Miss Johnson has started to reach out to parents in terms of them coming in and interviewing students, talking to them about their experiences and how their own workplace experiences is a word I'm going to use again. Apologies, I couldn't think of anything else there with the light shining on me. But so that you share these ideals and you're able to give something back. So please, if you've got any ideas of how we can make things better for your daughters, please get in contact with me. Thank you very much.
Shan't keep you much longer. I just also like the way that my colleagues just showed to the girls as well that we don't always get perfect. We try our best, but to keep you awake, some of the mistakes in the PowerPoints, if you obviously want to fill it out on your slip at the end, do let us know. I spotted a couple. I hope you see that. I hope you get that sense of pride. And I know that we're trying to cover a lot of different things in this evening. And thank you so much for being patient with us. I do have one more little thing to talk about, which has been referred to already. The elephant's got a lot bigger in the room, it feels like, this evening. And I think it's just important when talking about what we're doing as a school, what we're trying to do moving forward, the disruption that the girls have suffered, as Miss Egan said, that we want this to be their kind of first proper full year at Haysfield, and that is ridiculous when we're in year 9 talking about that, and we talk about all the values and what we've learned and what they've taken from their experiences. Just incredibly proud of them, just so incredibly proud of them, and you as well, because, come through this, and we know we're not through it, and this is the thing that we are, that we know that with the winter, with flus and colds and viruses around, there are always things that we're going to be doing. And whilst we're in a very different place to 18 months ago, and so much has moved forwards, and we're able to do this, we know that we may not be able to at times this year. We know that we're constantly looking at numbers of cases. We're taking advice all the time from Public Health England and from Baines Council as well, and we're talking to them about what's going on, if there's any little growth in cases in certain year groups, do we change a bit about what we're doing? So I'm just going to talk to you about some of the things that we're doing here at the moment, and just in really trying to make sure that we can keep moving forward together and working together and not being disrupted. Essentially, there's 4 areas that we are looking at and talking about, and actually that really does make a difference if we can stick to those things and really work on that, because we're in a different place, in a different zone in what we're doing. If I talk about those key areas broken down, we do want to keep making sure that, if they're not well, if they have the symptoms, then it is important. And that's the problem now, is what is symptoms? Because they've got a cold, they've got a sore throat, they've got a bit of a cough. It's like, well, don't send me to school. They'll all tell me I've got COVID. And it's like, we haven't. It's winter cold. It's here, it's around, it's everywhere. Getting the flu vaccine, getting things that can help reduce that. All the things actually we're doing, funnily enough, trying to be more hygienic, trying to wash our hands more, using sanitizer, helps make a difference in stopping the spread of viruses. But it is naturally here, it's around and about. So it is very difficult. But, we kind of, it is important that if they do feel unwell, and if in doubt, it is better to, allow them to recover, get them ready and best to come back to school as quick as they can. It's very difficult when we keep talking about attendance and then the disruption that we know we're going to naturally have. We do want to make sure that they're cleaning their hands, and they're doing that all the time. They are brilliant at it now, really well drilled, it's lunch. But coming in and out of lunch in terms of washing their hands, cleaning their hands all the time. So, that's happening in our lessons as well. Obviously, simple stuff, isn't it? It's like, well, this is obvious stuff. We should be talking about this every winter in terms of good respiratory hygiene and making sure that, they're looking out for themselves. And we do work on social distances. It's always something, we've just been, we're coming to 4 weeks. We're reviewing what we're doing. Do we need to stagger lunches a bit more? Do we, for their experience of getting their lunch and having space to eat it? So we're always reviewing what we're doing and how we're doing that in terms of managing that. And we've given them a slightly longer break to stagger it a little bit, but we might switch things around a bit more just to try and give a bit more space. I say go outside and use the fields. Yeah, not today. I didn't see many of them out there today. And I just wanted to highlight where we're at, and I know, and I'm sorry if you all know this, and I'm just preaching to the converted in what we're doing, but we've had some issues at school where girls have suddenly heard of a friend who's got a positive test, and they're dashing out of lessons wanting to take LFD tests and go and sit in the toilet and do an LFD and stuff like that. And as a scientist, it's absolutely insulting. But the point that we're trying to make is really LFDs are to be done at home, and we do want them to take them twice a week. I think it's really important that they're in those habits. It's all about just trying to identify and intercept early. If we're getting a growth in cases in any area, then we can take some very, quick actions that can help just keep the numbers down. And of course it's around, of course it's going to be here, but it is about just trying to manage that. So, if they're doing them at home twice a week, and obviously you're informing us of negative or positive tests, both through the NHS site and through school, it just means that we automatically can keep an eye on what's going on and help respond. said about this, if you have symptoms and if you think they really have symptoms, even if perhaps they've had a negative LFD, we're seeing a lot of, a number of parents are saying, I'm just going to take them for a PCR anyway, just for peace of mind. And I think that's absolutely right. PCRs are the right thing for peace of mind in terms of, if you're not sure, do a PCR. It's kind of really our thing. If they do get a positive LFD test, please inform us. Please, obviously, as I said, log it through the systems. NHS Test and Trace may be in touch. They get in touch and just to have that conversation, but just book a PCR test. Obviously, you've got a number of places you can get to do that. And then I know it's taking a little while at the moment. Sometimes people are waiting a bit frustratedly because obviously if they've had a positive LFD, they do need to stay at home before they get, to get the results of the PCR. So it can be frustrating if they think they're okay and they don't have any symptoms as well. That I know that's the most frustrating bit. But the moment they get a negative, they can come straight back. That's the key bit. If they've got a negative LFD, come to school. That's the really good bit. It does ensure that we're managing that. And that's that difference now, and particularly because of the age they are and the different risk factors associated with that, where we're at with COVID at the moment. But just if everybody else has a positive COVID test, PCR test, and they haven't, come to school. They can do the shopping as well on the way, probably, and do a lot of other stuff, walk the dog, cook dinner, everything else. But, that's the key bit. That's the thing that shows the drive of the government is to try and keep everyone in school and to try and maintain what we're trying to do, to try and give them that some sense of normality and keep that moving forwards. And that's the bit that we really want to keep kind of emphasising, that, if they're in school, that's absolutely the right place, unless they have that positive kind of test, and then they obviously don't stay in. So yeah, it's absolutely about, if others have symptoms but you don't, obviously taking the LFD test anyway helps, because that gives you, if you've got a negative LFD, you don't have symptoms, you come to school. Okay, that's really important. It is about that individual, it is about the age, and obviously vaccination status comes in when you're older, but for us it is about the age they are when they're at. I just wanted to share briefly, because we're having these conversations, we are very lucky. We have very low cases in the school, very low cases. We have a little group of cases in Year 8, for instance, at the moment, related around some friends, so we've asked those all to go and get PCR tests, and we are constantly talking to Public Health England and to Baines about anything we should be doing differently, and it's things like this, gatherings of parents and stuff, when you're looking at cases in the community. So we are all the time considering what we're doing. We are revising, obviously, and it is about personal choice as well in what you're doing. Wearing face coverings as well. It's sometimes it feels harder. They say, well, you shouldn't have a group gathering. You're like, but I can go to the cinema or the theatre, and that's okay. But you're saying we should think about not having an assembly. But so there may be some little changes. We're always trying to keep cases down. So if we're advised that, and we're going to be cautious, and we will make the right decisions as we go through. So I think I just wanted to share with you some of the things that we will be doing. It's interesting that I don't think face coverings is a very high on the priority list. When I was talking to Public Health England earlier today, reintroducing face coverings and stuff, they think would be where you've got very high case load really, and would be indication that we're nowhere near that, which is, and we're not ever hoping, intending to be. But so it's more about just, do you introduce more social distancing measures? We're constantly looking at our ventilation and everything else that we're doing. So it will be more like group gatherings and things that we'll have to review first, and we're constantly looking at that and taking that into account. So as I said, face coverings may come in communal areas, but that is quite low down on the list. Low down, high up. Keeping up to date, I know sometimes we send a lot of information, and I know that the elephant in the room for me, I realised it was me. The emails I sent out asking students to come into school after their COVID test at the start of the year. I thought I'd done a right Boris Johnson there, though. You turned that as fast as I could. So thank you for not lynching me, and for the Year 9s in the morning who were gracious enough to accept my apologies for causing such chaos. But I like to say, at least I thought I'd put my true Boris on there to do that. But in terms of communication, we do really, work hard to try and make sure that we're sharing information with you and all the things that we do. And, our school bulletin, I appreciate you need a large glass of wine on a Friday night to get through to the end. But just please understand the love and care that we've put into that. Just think of the hours we're putting in to put it together for you. And again, it's celebrating all the time. As Mr. Morris said, you know, in terms of what our students do out of school, I want to be in there. The moment he's talking about someone being in Devon, I'm like, I hope it's in the bulletin. I hope I know about that, because it's such a wonderful thing. So please share with us when your daughters do things that we might not know about. Send them in to me, and I will definitely be publishing that and sharing that with the community, because it's such a wonderful thing to do. And just to finish off, just to step way away from the elephant, Ms. Yates normally gets the most excited about this, but I just wanted to mark the fact that in terms of developing professional learning spaces, in terms of really helping them have the best places to learn, it's the thing they would moan about the most. And when Mr. Morris is talking about like a year group who has got to say what they want to say, has got strong views on things, yeah, boy, do we know that. They have indeed. And I am really excited. It's not just about sixth form talking about what happens in PSHE in Cheats time. It's these guys here. And we really want to use that, and we want to change what we're doing for the better in how we develop our community. We won't always agree, but we'll definitely, you know, talk and have those dialogues. But actually getting them to be involved for the younger students is huge for us. But things like developing the toilets, I know it hasn't got any mirrors yet. We've had a bit of a Brexit lorry driver petrol issue in getting them, but we'll have them eventually. But in terms of spaces, really, I just wanted to share, because over the summer, an enormous amount of work has gone into extending that, providing better spaces for, and actually that's our extension there to the refectory, so now they've got more room when it's wet to actually eat, and they've also got another space they can do PE and stuff when it's wet. So we've got other spaces to do, and it's absolutely lovely. And this is our fabulous drama space. Should have got some pictures of Year 9 doing drama in there. And again, it's just a wonderful space and another opportunity in terms of performance space to really inspire them. And I'm looking forward to seeing some wonderful productions from our year group there. And we've converted the old drama into another art room, so we've got all our art team together. I know perhaps on your way out, by all means do nip down the bit in the art and just see some of the art that's out. It's just such an inspirational space, and we're so proud of what students have produced and to share what they're doing. In terms of questions, I won't make you all sit here and do question time, because it is quite hot under these lights. So what we'll do is we'll all be here and we'll slowly wander up, but please do, if you'd like to come and corner any of us and ask any questions, please do come down. But just thank you so much for coming out this evening, and if you can fill out the feedback form with any mistakes on it, we'd be gratefully received in the post box. Thank you, everyone.